The story: Bigfoot on Black Mountain. On a pitch-dark night, Hunter Lai wandered through the forest. He knew every stump, every trail, his nose sniffing the air like a wolf. While tracking wild game, he suddenly discovered a deep cave, hot air rushing out with a pungent, strange smell. Lai crouched down, peered inside. His heart pounded wildly. Inside were three Bigfoots, a male, a female, and a small gray-furred young one. My God, if I catch this, I'll be rich, he thought, eyes glinting like fire. Lai quickly devised a plan: lure the male and female out, then shoot the young one with a poisoned arrow. A shaft whistled through the air. The young Bigfoot was hit, collapsed, and howled in agony. The male and female rushed back, but Lai's traps blocked their way. Amid the chaos, he snatched up a handful of blood-soaked fur, stuffed it into his bag, and sneered, "This time, I'll strike it rich." That night, the whole mountain village trembled at the echoing roars. Doors shook, dogs barked madly. Villagers huddled together at the communal yard, terrified. The village chief shouted, "Beasts are descending from the mountain! Lock your doors! No one goes outside!" But Hunter Lai's face turned pale. He knew they would follow the scent of the fur. In his fear, he secretly scattered Bigfoot fur across the rooftops of every house, hoping to mislead them. The first roar struck right at the chief's house. The Bigfoot male slammed its hand into the stone wall, shaking the whole house violently. If not built solid, it would have crumbled to rubble. People inside clung to one another, wailing in terror. Amid the chaos, 10-year-old Tin Tin pulled Uncle Utno aside and whispered, "Uncle, we have to figure this out. We can't just keep hiding." Utno's face turned pale. "Are you crazy? Facing monsters?" "No. I'll form a detective team. If no one else dares, then I will. You're teammate number one." Tintin grinned slyly, patting Utno's shoulder. Thus the Tintin detective team was born, defying the night filled with roars. The next morning, the two snuck into the forest. Their jaws dropped when they saw giant footprints pressed deep into the damp soil, as wide as a winnowing basket. Utno's eyes bulged, his voice trembling. "Good heavens, this thing must be as big as a water buffalo." Tintin stood akimbo, acting like an expert. "Wrong, Uncle. These footprints show it's not just big, but heavy, like the chief after he eats his fill and sleeps for 3 days straight without waking." Utno blinked. "Wait, have you ever seen him sleep 3 days straight?" Tintin scowled. "No, but I can imagine. Just look at his belly." Utno burst out laughing, clutching his stomach, while Tintin solemnly measured the footprints with a stick, muttering, "This is no wild boar or bear. It's many times bigger. We must be careful." That evening, while Tintin's family was eating dinner, two massive shadows loomed. The thatched roof rattled. The door was ripped off its hinges. Tintin's father panicked, grabbing a machete. His mother clutched little Na tightly. The Bigfoot male roared, its eyes glowing red, sweeping its hand across the room, smashing the table to splinters. The female caught the scent of the young one's fur scattered inside and went berserk, thrashing wildly. In the critical moment, Tintin shouted, "Everyone under the bed now!" The whole family scrambled underneath. Bigfoot bent down to peer, but Tintin flung an entire basket of chili powder into its face. The beast howled, thrashing in pain. Taking the chance, the family rolled out the back door and escaped. Later, Tintin and Utno followed and caught sight of Hunter Lee sneaking around, scattering fur all over the village. The two immediately grew suspicious. Tintin pointed and shouted before everyone, "It's him! He brought this disaster! If not for him, the monsters wouldn't be here." The villagers, furious, closed in, but before they could act, the Bigfoots charged. The male and female lunged straight at Lai. His screams tore through the night as they seized him, thrashing him like a rag doll. Bones cracked, blood sprayed. Lai was still alive, but his body was mangled, writhing in agony. The female Bigfoot cradled her wounded young, licking its bloodied fur. The small one whimpered softly and nestled against its mother's chest. Finally, the two towering shadows turned and disappeared into the misty mountains, leaving the villagers frozen in silence. The village chief rasped, his voice trembling. "From this day on, no one must set foot near Black Mountain again. We survived, only because they reclaimed their young." Tintin gazed toward the mountain, shivering, and whispered, "Tonight we escaped, but the darkness on the mountain still waits." The cold moonlight shone on the bloodstains across the ground. From afar, a roar echoed, reminding them all the nightmare was far from over. Winter of Blood story. The Winter of Blood. That year, winter came earlier than usual. The whole village shivered in the bitter cold. Every night, the wind from Black Mountain howled like ghostly wails. The elders whispered, "The Bigfoots haven't truly gone. They will return." One evening, Tin Tin and Oot No sat by the fire. Their grandmother, chewing betel, muttered, "Tin Tin, don't you dare sneak up that mountain again. I felt bad omens these past nights." Tin Tin winked at Oot No, but inside, unease gnawed at him. He could never forget the fiery red eyes of the Bigfoot male that night, burning into his memory like blades. Then, on a night when the moon was hidden by dark clouds, the village shook with an earth-shattering roar. Roof beams cracked, screams pierced the night. The village chief rushed out, just in time to see a giant shadow rip the door off Mr. Two's house, snatch up an entire cow, and vanish into the darkness. Blood smeared the ground. The metallic stench mingled with the icy wind, sending shivers down every spine. The next morning, Tin Tin dragged Utno into the forest to investigate. This time, they found not only massive footprints as wide as winnowing baskets, but also a long trail of blood leading deeper into the mountain. Utno's face went pale, drained of all color. "Dear God, they won't spare our village boy." Tin Tin clenched his fists, eyes flashing. "If we don't act, the whole village will be wiped out. Uncle, we must strike first." They followed the blood into Black Mountain's cave. Darkness swallowed everything. Gusts of icy wind brushed their necks like invisible hands. From within, a foul stench rose. Tin Tin covered his nose. "This smell, it's not like normal beasts. It's like rotting corpses." Step by step, they crept deeper until they froze in horror. Before them lay a mountain of bones, buffalo, cows, pigs, and human remains. Utno trembled. "Holy heavens, all these years they've been hunting people too." Suddenly, a hulking shadow loomed at the far end of the cave. Two crimson eyes flared open. Heavy breathing rumbled across the stone walls. The Bigfoot male. It advanced, crushing bones beneath its feet with sickening cracks. Tin Tin seized Utno's hand and bolted. Behind them, the monster's roar thundered as massive footsteps shook the ground, closing in. Utno gasped, out of breath. "Boy, I can't run any longer." Tin Tin gritted his teeth. "If you fall, the whole village dies with you." They tumbled out of the cave, rolling down a steep slope. The Bigfoot stopped at the cliff's edge, glaring down at them. Its red eyes burned like judgment, promising, "This isn't over." That night, Tin Tin told the whole village what they had seen. No one dared to sleep. Gwindao Trung, the village exorcist, spoke grimly. "These are not ghosts, but something far worse. They are cunning, and they hold grudges. Our village's peace may already be doomed." Little Na clung to her mother's shirt, voice shaking. "Big brother, will they eat us too?" Tin Tin looked at her, unable to answer. He only clenched his fists tighter, his eyes burning with resolve. "If they come back, I'll be the one to stop them." Outside, the cold wind howled through the thatched roofs, carrying with it a distant roar from the mountain, a promise of vengeance. Winter still lingered, the cold cutting through skin. The villagers gathered in the communal yard, faces tense. Elder Truong spoke sternly. "Tonight they will descend from the mountain. No more doubts. If we don't fight, the whole village will be devoured alive." The village chief struck his staff on the ground. "All right, we live and die together. Men, prepare the traps, axes, sticks, knives. Tonight we fight to the end." Tin Tin whispered to Uncle No. "Uncle, is the spicy chili corridor plan ready?" Uncle No grinned and nodded. "Ready. Once they walk in, we'll dump buckets of chili powder, burn their eyes blind." Tin Tin smirked. "Good. And the exploding decoy chicken plan?" Uncle No scratched his head. "Well, we caught the chicken, but I tied the firecrackers a bit too tight. Hopefully it won't blow up before we use it." Tin Tin's eyes widened. "Oh no, Uncle. Don't you dare let that chicken explode inside the village hall." A roar shook the mountains. 3 giant shadows, male Bigfoot, female Bigfoot, and their child emerged from the mist. Their glowing red eyes lit up the courtyard. The male Bigfoot charged first, smashing through the bamboo fence, his roar like thunder. "Groo!" The villagers shouted as one, "Attack!" Spears, pikes, and clubs flew, but the creature's hide was like stone, only scratched at best. Enraged, it swung its arms, knocking 3 people down at once. Blood splattered. Tin Tin yelled, "Activate the chili plan!" Uncle No and several villagers dumped buckets of chili powder. The winter wind carried it straight into the beasts' faces. They roared and sneezed uncontrollably. Uncle No clutched his stomach, laughing. Ha ha! Even monsters get runny noses. Tin Tin stayed serious. Stop laughing. Run! They're about to go berserk. The female Bigfoot fell into a pit of sharpened stakes, but with terrifying strength, she climbed out, body riddled with wounds, black blood dripping. Meanwhile, the Bigfoot child was lured by the decoy chicken with firecrackers tied to its back. It chased after, the chicken squawking wildly until, boom, a firecracker went off. The young Bigfoot tumbled, singed fur smoking. Tin Tin shouted, "Success! But don't kill it! We need it alive!" That night, the whole village became a battlefield. Screams, roars, and chaos filled the air. Many were wounded. Some never rose again. Tin Tin was cornered. The male Bigfoot raised a hand to crush him when Uncle No leapt in, hurling a pot of boiling porridge into its face. The monster shrieked, blinded. Tin Tin seized the chance, thrusting a wooden spear into its chest. Blood sprayed, drenching the boy's face. The female Bigfoot dragged her child away into the forest, while the male staggered, howled, and collapsed in the courtyard. At dawn, smoke still rose over the wreckage. The wounded lay everywhere. Others sat silently by their fallen loved ones. The village chief spoke with a trembling voice. We've lost much, but the village is saved. Elder Truong sighed. Blood has been repaid with blood. From now on, Black Mountain will be silent. No more roars, but the scars will remain. Tin Tin wiped the blood from his face, glancing at Uncle No's bandaged hand, who still managed to grin. Uncle, you nearly got me killed. Uncle Nyo chuckled painfully. Yeah, but at least I saved you. Though, what a waste of porridge. The villagers gave a weary laugh, though their eyes were still wet with tears. From that day on, Bigfoot was never seen again. But on cold winter nights, villagers still whispered, somewhere deep in the forest, a pair of red eyes continued to watch humankind.